Well, you all know him as Collingwood's #1 fan, but with a report alleging systemic racism at the footy club, Joffa Corf is now in the spotlight for continuing to support former President Eddie McGuire. I spoke to the Magpies fanatic exclusively and began by asking him what his reaction was to the allegations.
Well, I was hurt and shocked, probably just like a majority of other Collingwood people, because it was wrong, it's false. Let me add that in my whole time under the Eddie presidency, which I got to know Ed pretty well early in his reign at Collingwood, 21 years I've known Eddie. 12 months of those 21 years, I was worked inside the club. I've been to hundreds of functions. I've sat in the Collingwood cheer squad for millions of matches. And only once in the cheer squad did I hear a racist comment, and that guy was told to pull up and shut up. At the club, at all the functions, at all the other places I went to around Australia going to interstate games, not one racist comment was heard anywhere. So this systemic racism, quote, is wrong. The two professors that did this report were flawed in their report anyway, because they claimed that in 1970, a Carlton player was racially vilified by a Collingwood player, and that has since come out that did not happen. The other big incident in the independent report was the Nicky Winmar incident, which was horrible. We all agree with that. We're sad about that. It should never have happened. So basically, my way of thinking is the independent report is flawed. The other person that's made all these comments, which I won't name, but we know who I'm talking about, is a liar. Simple as that. He lied. Players have come out since he's made these claims about being called the chimp, that he was quite okay with that. He accepted that. He laughed about it. And recently, an AFL record came to surface on the internet talking to this person, and he gave 3 nicknames of himself. One of the nicknames was the chimp. So he was happy to put it out there publicly in an AFL record that he was called the chimp. Now, if he had 3 nicknames, why would he, if he was so horribly upset and offended and, oh God, the world is going to fall over by being called the chimp, why would he put that word in with the other 2 nicknames? People have got to think about what's going on here. Collingwood is not a racist club, and I'll stand up to my dying days and say that. Eddie is not a racist person. You couldn't find a better person than Eddie McGuire.
Can you make the argument, could you make the argument that he was going along with the name to fit in? Because that's what he tweeted. He says he was going along with the nickname initially to fit in. Can you make that argument?
Yeah, he seems to has an answer for everything. This is the common trait of a narcissist. If he was so offended by this name, the chimp, why did he put it in with 2 other nicknames out there in the AFL record? And where was the outcry then when it was put out there? Why weren't questions asked then?
Yeah, well, we know in terms of Eddie McGuire, he has been in the spotlight for years regarding comments many people regarded as racist. We know about his Adam Goodes King Kong comment that was during the height of the Adam Goodes saga. Why are you defending him?
I'm defending Eddie McGuire because I'm not a Collingwood hater. I actually know Eddie, and I've known Eddie for 21 years, 22 years, and I've had many conversations with Eddie. I've met him at many different places, football grounds, interstate. I've met him at Collingwood functions. I've met him at club meetings. This guy is not a racist. Okay? Those unfortunate comments that he made, I think at the time he was trying to be funny. He got the comments wrong, and he's paid the price for that. But we should not label him as a racist because of that comment. If Eddie McGuire says he is not a racist, believe him. He is not a liar. What we've seen over the last 2-3 weeks has been a massive witch hunt of the Collingwood Football Club and Eddie McGuire. Left-wing lunatics. Why isn't Lydia being held accountable for labelling his very sad press conference on departing Collingwood as white tears. Why are we not saying anything about that? I have an Indigenous family. I've lived in Fiji for 9 months in a village. Don't anyone dare call me a racist on what I'm saying right now, because I'm not. And I shouldn't even have to qualify that.
Well, wasn't a lot of the allegations of systemic racism at the club more internally at the club rather than the crowds? It said the review said, quote, that the response to racist incidents was at best ineffective. What is your reaction to that? Because I'm not saying you're lying when it comes to the amount of people in the crowd who were racist, but go ahead.
I'm loving the interview. This is fantastic. Because the people that are doing a lot of the criticism of pointing the finger at Collingwood are from other tribes that are just as guilty of racism as the alleged racism at Collingwood. Geelong, Essendon, Hawthorn, the list goes on over the last 5, 6, 7 years of racism in the terraces, which has been very, very ugly. Not just Collingwood. Collingwood have been singled out. There's a horrible vendetta going on here, and it's directed towards Eddie Maguire and the Collingwood Football Club. The left-wing extremist is a very dangerous movement because you're not allowed to question them. You're not allowed to tackle them, to use a football expression. They're untouchable. And if we do go against what they say, we are what they say everybody else is, if you don't agree with them. Whether that be sexist, racist, whatever. And we're not going to stand back and take Eddie Maguire is a lovely person and I'll back Ed any day of the week against these bloody lunatics that have put him down.
Who are these left-wing extremists you keep talking about?
Who are they?
Yeah.
The two professors that conducted the independent report, the so-called senator who made that horrible comment, white tears. These are the people, the do-gooders, the people that pretend. They're all pretenders. People that want to stand up in the moment and look good. Look at me. Look what I'm fighting for. Aren't I fantastic? Look at the whole story, you people.
All right.
Dig into this independent report and find the flaws. Have a look at this bloke living in New York at the moment and see the horrible hatred that he's throwing at Eddie Maguire every day. This is horrible stuff, and we've got to stand up and fight this.
On the night he resigned, you called Lumumba a flog on Instagram. Now you...
Yeah, and let me say it again. I don't care what people think of me by what I say. I don't care. He's a flog. He not only is he a flog, but he's a liar. Do you have a problem with that?
I'm just like, what did he lie
Eddie
about?
Eddie Maguire has been called much worse. Why aren't we talking about the horrible things that Eddie Maguire has been called? I call Lumumba a flog. So what?
So what did Lumumba lie about?
Lumumba, look, he instigated this whole thing, okay, by his continual harassment of the Collingwood Football Club on Twitter. He's like a Trump. Lumumba Trump, that's what we should call him. The chimp is this is the whole argument of his, this is his whole thing of racism. He was called the chimp. But he goes on record in a football record with two other nicknames and says the chimp. If he was that offended or hurt by being called the chimp, he wouldn't make it public in an AFL record. Where's the outcry when that appeared in the record? We can't speak for him. I wouldn't want to. But I think his motive would be his hatred for Eddie Maguire.
So you do you believe he hates Maguire? So you do believe
he hates Maguire? Yes. And I ask, is hatred any different than racism? I'm asking you a question. Is hatred any different than racism?
Of course, there are differences to it. Hatred doesn't necessarily have to be based on someone's race, someone's just like hatred isn't
No,
the same as sexism, but certainly, in terms of
but-
hating someone, I'm not sure why he hates, or if he does hate. I don't recall him saying that in his own words. But again,
well, of course, well, he's not saying that in his own words, but read all his tweets. It's all his tweets are directed at Eddie Maguire and the Collingwood Football Club. This is systemic hatred.
yeah.
Systemic hatred.
And why do you say that it's systemic?
Because you read all his tweets. Everything is aimed and directed at Eddie Maguire.
Well, isn't the real definition of systemic more about it's the system, whereas one player isn't a system, is he?
Well, no, that's very true. But what I'm trying to say is that when you read his tweets, is this more of a hatred towards Eddie than defending the alleged racism that he says he copped at Collingwood? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Jofra, I'm not sure about that, but I will. I'm happy to have Lumumba on anytime.
We're allowed to have different. We're allowed to have different opinions. I mean, you're allowed to sort of say, "Oh, okay, well, I believe that Harry was racially vilified and blah 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 blah." But surely, I'm allowed to stand up and say, "Hang on a minute. Let's look at this whole story. Let's look at this whole thing." I don't think there's...
Jofra, of course you're allowed to have your opinion. I mean, that's why we are letting you on to speak
that's
about...
That's the thing today. No, people like me are not allowed to have an opinion because we disagree with the loonies from the left. If you disagree with the loonies from the left, you're labelled. You're labelled. So they will say, oh, look at this bloke. He's a racist. He's defending Eddie Maguire. If anyone defends Eddie Maguire, they're a racist too. Collingwood people, they're racist. Systemic racism at Collingwood, not only at the club, but it's in the terraces. They're all racist bogans. Well, no, we're not. Yeah. I have met some wonderful, wonderful Collingwood people in my time at Collingwood. Beautiful Collingwood people. And I'm not going to sit back and let us be labelled racist. Simple.
Now, that's just some of what I spoke to Jofra Korf about during that interview. We'll be releasing more of it in the coming days, but what are your thoughts? Make sure you have your say in the comments below and subscribe to us with full notifications on YouTube so you don't miss any of our exclusive stories and 24/7 news coverage.